What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we will be extending into the deep dive series by talking about Moltres. If you are not aware, Moltres ended up getting some new moves added into Pokemon Go recently, and it is easily one of the biggest improvements that we have seen amongst all of the Pokemon. Well, pretty much side by side with the Pokemon that finally got a fairy type quick move. So I am very excited about jumping into this video. If you are interested in this type of content and want to support me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are so close to hitting 100,000 subscribers. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So first things first, we have Moltres with a max AP of 3,465. Moltres is a dual type Pokemon of fire as well as flying type. Taking a look at the stats. Statistically speaking, we have a very solid option, overall ranking of 23rd in Pokemon Go, an attack stat of 251 being its best stat, and then a defense stat of 181 ranked at 121st. This Pokemon is no joke, something that you definitely want to take advantage of if you possibly can. Taking a look at the new moveset, as you're seeing, we've got Fire Spin, always had that. Wing Attack is a new one that we have added in. And a lot of people are asking about that because of everything that's going to relate to just being a flying type attacker. Secondarily, we ended up adding in the move Ancient Power, which, not gonna lie, it ends up being a little underwhelming. It does provide some coverage, so from a PvP perspective, it does buff it in that sense. But from a rating perspective, it's pretty much negligible. And then up next, we've got the Legacy charge move of Sky Attack that a lot of people are interested in. I personally do not have an Ember. That may or may not have been a mistake when it was first initially launched. But regardless of that, we have this incredible update to the moveset, and a lot of people are curious as to how good it's going to be as a flying type attacker, as a fire type. We all know that it is definitely a solid option, but the best thing that we can do is to go ahead and take a look at a couple of raid results. So the first one that I wanted to take a look at is versus a Machamp. In this case, because the fire typing will not be super effective against Machamp, we are really getting to see Moltres showcase itself by going with that double flying type attack with Wing Attack as well as Sky Attack. So for Sky Attack, with it being a Legacy, yes, it is a little bit on the rare side, but if you have yourself a Sky Attack, it could end up being worth it to unlock a Wing Attack on your quick moves, especially if you are trying to go up against a fighting type Pokemon. But regardless of that, it's important to cover some other typings because it's going to be worth a discussion as to what exactly you need to do. I wanted to go ahead and showcase one more standpoint where it does make sense to use Wing Attack over Fire Spin, and that's going to be versus like a Breloom, because it will be double super effective versus the grass and fighting type. You end up seeing Moltres in at that number 1 position, taking it away from Honchkrow. Bye-bye, Honchkrow. Basically came down to Moltres just needing a different typing of a quick move. That is something that I'm very glad that Pokemon Go is trying to address at this point in time, because we had so many Pokemon that only had one type, like Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, some of the legendary beasts, like, come on. And now that we are seeing a little bit more diversity, this is really going to play a major effect into how good these Pokemon can be. Now, what is going to happen when you end up in a situation where fire is super effective and flying is super effective? At that point in time, that is a very good way for you to find out which move is truly better as far as a general standpoint. And as you will see, Fire Spin ends up being the better option as opposed to using Wing Attack. And we do have a couple more examples of that happening as well. But I figured I would go ahead and point it out for Registeel. It's still going to be dominant from that just double fire typing using Fire Spin and Overheat. But really, one of the main points that I wanted to kind of like drive home from this is the simple fact that anytime you are stuck in a tie between fire as well as flying and both are super effective, it is better for you to go with Fire Spin as opposed to using the Wing Attack. Now let's go ahead and move on to PvP. From a PvP perspective, I unfortunately do not have that great of news. We end up seeing a new rock type moveset added in, but unfortunately we don't see any change as far as Moltres is concerned, getting up into the top 24 from any of the leagues. But regardless of that, I know that this was probably intended to be beneficial from a PvP perspective, but we ended up seeing some great benefits from the other side, obviously, when we talk about it from a raid perspective. So I am personally super excited about that. Now we're going to go ahead and answer ourselves a couple of questions. Is Moltres worth powering up? Yes, it absolutely is worth powering it up because of two main reasons. Fire typing, flying typing, number one. If those are not good enough reasons for you, I don't know what is. But really the debate is going to stem from what you should do with the moveset / unlocking a secondary charge move. A couple of videos ago, I actually unlocked a new moveset for Moltres, trying to get myself overheat so that way I could use it from the fire perspective as well as the flying perspective. And if you're still on the fence as to what to do just because of the fact that we now have two different quick moves to go between, I would honestly say to consider this. For the most part, fast TMs drop more heavily than charged TMs do, and if you are really in a crunch, it would make sense to unlock a secondary charge move for Moltres and simply just rotate the fast moves between each other. Since there's only two fast moves, you are guaranteed to get the opposite move other than the one that you have. So that's what I'm gonna do, just rotate between them, and of course use my 100% level 40 Moltres. Very excited about that. And of course, if you are up for the debate of wing attack over fire spin, it simply comes down to fire spin being better whenever they tie. And then of course you can use fire where flying doesn't work and use flying where fire doesn't work, making Moltres a truly dynamic Pokemon in Pokemon Go. It was already good and it got even better. I want to know what you think about Moltres in the comment section below. Are you excited about it? Do you plan on investing Stardust into it now? What is your strategy? Do you like it from the flying type standpoint, the fire type standpoint? Anything and everything, let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. This is where we give a huge shout out to the patrons on Patreon. As many of you may not know, as far as YouTube content creators are concerned with smaller channels, you don't make that much money, although there is a lot of hard work that goes into it. So support on Patreon is very important to smaller creators, and I want to say thank you so much for everyone who has chosen to be a part of it.